National Automotive Design and Development Council, that's the NADDC, and the African Association of Automotive Manufacturers have embarked on tours of auto part manufacturers across the country. Well, this is in line with the developmental programs of the 2023 Nigerian Automotive Industry Development Plan to enhance automotive component integration in the sector. Facilities were visited in Lagos and even outside Lagos, Kaduna, Kano. You see brake pad manufacturers and all of that. The tour is aimed at strengthening relationships among auto part dealers operating, of course, in the country. And the Director General of the association, yes, it's also manufacturers collaborating with original equipment manufacturers. The aim is to promote development across the space. The Director General of the NADDC, Mr. Oluwemimo Osompini, said the visit is focused on component part manufacturers, adding that the team, without them, the vehicle cannot move. Well, let's get talking, and he joins me live from our Abuja studios, the Director General of the National Automotive Design and Development Council himself, Mr. Joseph Osonipi. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. It's good to see you, DG.
Good afternoon, Tolu. How are you doing?
Yes, very well. Before we go to, yes, I must say that we've seen you everywhere, Lagos, the East and the North. But before we go there, let's get a bit of background with Nigeria's automotive industry. I remember in the early 80s where people go to the likes of Volkswagen, Peugeot to purchase vehicles, reasonable prices. Where did we get it wrong, and how did we get here before the NADDC came into play to try to help re-strategize or reorganize the automobile industry?
Okay, thank you. Just as you mentioned, toward the end of 70s, early 80s, through to early 90s, we have PAN, that is the manufacturer Peugeot product, and then we have VON, that's Volkswagen, the manufacturer Volkswagen product in Nigeria. Then you will notice that the first thing we got wrong was patronage. In those periods, close to 90% of vehicle acquisition were done in Nigeria. That is, 90% of the new vehicle purchased during those periods were either Peugeot products or Volkswagen products. So, majority of Nigerian, both private and public, patronized made in Nigerian vehicle then. But toward the end of 80s, policy of Nigeria changed, especially when we deregulate the market as well as our forex. So when we deregulate the market was open for other manufacturers, other brands to come in. And as at that time, the Naira started depreciating. And because Naira was depreciating, the focus moved from purchasing new vehicle to used vehicles. So you could see that because of the stronger dollar, people now prefer to buy used vehicle. Again, even before the purchase of used vehicle, we have new brands like Nissan, Toyota that started competing with made in Nigeria vehicle. We can also attribute this to lack of innovation, because while those new brands started innovating, the one we have here then were not innovating enough. And by the time we now open the border and people now were exposed to new one coming from Toyota, Nissan, and other brands, and then the used one that became so cheap. And we opened the market, we opened the border for all these ones to come in. Then the local one could not compete. But even apart from that, the local manufacturer, again, some of them changed management. And by the time they changed the management, some of the management start patronizing start using parts that were not manufactured in Nigeria. Because by the time Volkswagen and Toyota were doing well here, close to 80% of their parts or components were manufactured here in Nigeria. And by the time they started bringing those other ones or those components outside the country, now remember that dollar was a bit stronger then than Naira. By the time they started bringing it, they could not compete in time of price. So they couldn't compete in time of price. The patronage from Nigeria, the taste of Nigerians changed from Peugeot, Toyota, from Peugeot and Volkswagen to new brands, and then we have the used vehicle coming in. So the made in Nigerian vehicle could not compete. So from there, we miss it. Policy of the government contributed. Nigerians' taste and preference contributed, and lack of patronage contributed. So it's multifaceted. The problem was so many that contributed to the state that we find ourselves today in time of auto.
Okay, let me take it up from there. Now we have a developmental plan, which is supposed to, of course, revamp the entire sector. Where are you starting from? I see a collaboration between the NADDC and African Association of Automotive Manufacturers. Tell us where you are and how you're trying to make sure that you correct this and take us back to where we should be. That's producing our cars in country, manufacturing car parts and all of that in country.
Okay, so when we have this problem, so the government came up with policy that we encourage investment and then lead to the production and self-sufficient in production of vehicle. So we came up with the auto policy. The auto policy has 7 pillars, and one of that pillar is to encourage investment into auto sector. Now that's one. And then the other one is, I mentioned that lack of patronage again is to promote the markets. That is, open up the market for Nigerian-made vehicles. So because we realize that without that patronage, not only from public sector, but also from private sector, there is no way the local products can grow. There is no way the auto sector in Nigeria also can grow. And apart from that, for us to get private sector to patronize the locally made vehicle, it must meet not only what standard, but the price. It must be able to compete with the other brands in terms of price. So part of what we are doing is to look at how can we produce vehicle in Nigeria that will match international standard and then be able to compete in terms of price, and also to generate employment. So in doing all this, we came up with that policy. And part of the policy also include local component product development. So if we are going to achieve all these things I mentioned, we need to start developing the local component. And the local components are just the parts that are used in making vehicle. So if we can start producing some of these parts locally, then we will not be exposed to fluctuations or in effects. So we start producing this locally, and then we'll be able to generate employment, and then we'll be able to bring down the price of the finished good, which is the vehicle, eventually bring down the price. So that's why we now collaborate with our AAAM, which does the African Auto Manufacturer, the Association of African Manufacturer. We are comparing notes, because we cannot do this alone. We see where we went wrong. Then other countries went wrong the same way, but they rose again. So we are now those countries that were able to rise again, what have they done right? What are the lessons we can learn from them? And that's why we are partnering with them. So we call them in, because the focus is to promote and develop the local component. We look at the components we have in Nigeria, and then we are now analyzing them. Which one are we already producing? For example, we take brake pad, for example. We are not only looking at providing component for the new vehicle, but for after sales. I mentioned the other time that we have millions of vehicles on Nigerian road today. And out of these millions of vehicles, how many parts are we providing, especially the consumable parts, like brake pad, like oil filter? So all these ones are part of what we can produce locally. So we are now identifying, assessing the capacity we already have in Nigeria, because some of the companies we have here are producing these parts. Nigerians are not aware, but what we are doing now is we want to bring them to fore and see where are they not competing favorably with the one that are being imported outside. So by the time we analyze all this, we'll be able to take right steps and right decisions that we not only sustain them, but we also encourage Nigerians to patronize locally produced parts. So by the time we are able to do this, then the foreign investment will now come, because by the time other foreigners or the original the OEMs, by the time they realize that we have already sanitized the local market, we can meet some of the production of some of these local components. They will be ready to invest more and come to Nigeria to produce vehicles. And again, we already have a lot of assembly plants in Nigeria. We are also encouraging them, because most of them are just assembling, doing SKD. And when we talk to them, some promise to move to CKD, but a lot of them said they can't move to CKD now. Why? Because of low patronage. So we need to now see what can we do to support them so that the patronage will move up. Not only that, we'll be able to produce local components for them and then bring down the price, because it's work together. If the price is high, there will be no patronage. And if there is no patronage, we will not be able to produce enough volume that will bring down the price. So we need to first of all focus on the components, produce more components for them, then force down the price, and Nigeria will start patronizing them, because it's very critical for us to boost the market for Nigeria.
Interesting stuff. Let's stay around the local manufacturing now. You mentioned the likes of fuel filter, the likes of brake pads. These are basic parts that, of course, need to be accessible at all times. And I also listened to one of the manufacturers talking about the life strength and, of course, the standard, or should I say quality of his product. Naturally, an outfitter should stay for, I think, 5,000 kilometers before another service. But he's saying that they have the capacity. So that takes me to my next question. Standards and, of course, quality of what is being produced. What is your assessment of that? Are you sure that we are making sure that people don't cut corners at every strata of car manufacturing in Nigeria?
Okay, for that, we have ascertained first that the component manufactured in Nigeria have better quality than those imported to Nigeria. First, you mentioned brake pad, you mentioned oil filter, plastic parts. Most of these things, we even have a component manufacturer that have a machine that only one company have it throughout the whole Africa. That company that have it in Nigeria, the second company to have it in the whole Africa, that produce plastic part of vehicles. So, but when we produce it here, a lot of people will still go ahead and import those parts that are of substandard quality to that one produced in Nigeria. So these are the things we have found out. We are working on them. So what we want to do is immediately we establish the capacity, because when we have established the capacity, then we have enough centers, because as it is now, we are building test centers where we'll be able to test all these products that are being imported to Nigeria. And by the time we finish the building of the test center, test them, anyone that don't meet the standard specified by SON, we will not allow them to come to the country. And by so doing, everybody have to up their game and produce the standard that that most of the component manufacturers here in Nigeria are producing. So if this is done, for example, we have brake pad that do 3,000 to 5,000, but Nigerians produce brake pad that can do 15,000 kilometers at a go. But the price of 15,000 cannot be the same with those ones that are coming in that can do only 4,000. But by the time we standardize all this, then the price will be almost equal, and then Nigerians will be able to buy more. So that's why we are building this test center. And for Nigerian vehicles, I can assure you, the standard of Nigerian vehicles you see today, let me just explain one thing. Most of the vehicles world over, no vehicle maker produce a vehicle from beginning to the end, 100%. They have their OEMs that supply the engines, the OEM that supply the wire harness, and others, the one that supply tire and battery. And these are the same OEM that Nigerian manufacturers are using. So with that, we cannot say the parts they are using, the vehicle they are producing are of substandard quality. But we can say one other reason that Nigerians are giving that the price of Nigerian-made vehicle are slightly higher. We are looking into that because we have identified one or two reasons that made it so. So we work on all those ones, and we are working with our assembler also. And part of the complaint of Nigerians is after-sales market, which we are already addressing, because we are talking to manufacturers, assemblers in Nigeria. We are encouraging them to build more after-sales service centers across the country, so that we don't need to go to another state to service your vehicle when your vehicle develop fault, because vehicle can develop fault at any time. No matter the type of vehicle you have, we can have that fault. So we have that in mind, and we are working with them to make sure not only do we standardize the product, we standardize the process of manufacturing vehicles.
So before I let you go, that means definitely you need the support of the federal government. Talking about ministries, departments, and agencies of government patronizing made in Nigeria vehicles at this point. What sort of support are you getting from that end? Because it's important that they are patronized. That's what's going to boost business and, of course, increase capacity across the board. So what are you also doing? Are you getting the right nod with regards to that from the those that need to give you these approvals?
Yes, we are getting it. Before now, we have Executive Order 03, we have Executive Order 05 that encourage government agencies, MDAs, to patronize locally made vehicles. And the president, in the last few months, has also been emphasizing this. And that's why you see all the CNG purchased by all the agencies of government so far are all assembled or manufactured here in Nigeria, 100%. And this is what we want, not only federal government, but all other state government, that is subnationals, to embrace, so that we can support our own made vehicle. We have some state governors that use 100% in their fleet Nigerian-made vehicle. We want other state governors also to go further and support that. We have states that invest in some of these vehicle assembly companies here in Nigeria, and those states also are supporting them. So we just want it to cut across. And not only government, we want private sector also to start patronizing Nigerian-made vehicle. And that's why we are doing all this. We are getting the support, but we can't stop. We continue to speak out. We continue to sensitize the people about the quality and the standards of the vehicle we are making in Nigeria. And we continue to encourage the assembly, vehicle manufacturer assemblers to have after sales in order to take care of the vehicle that have been sold to the customers.
What more would you like to tell players in this industry? I know you've been doing a lot of interministerial meetings and, going around bringing agencies of government together to flow with you with regards to this move of promoting indigenous manufacturing and, of course, coupling of vehicles in this country. What more would you like them to know at this very critical time moving forward?
What I would like everybody to know now is that auto sector is a critical sector to any economy world over. Before I came in here now, I just read that even Canada has imposed 100% tariff on vehicles coming from China going to Canada. 100%. About 3 months ago, US imposed 100% tariff on the vehicle coming from China to US. All these have been done to protect the local that is auto sector in those countries. So we also are going to start looking at that. So it means every country you go to, no one take auto sector lightly, because auto sector is one of the sector that generates a lot of employment because of the component part I mentioned earlier. You can see the employment. We were in one of the during this tour, we got to a place where we met a lot of people. We call them small. They say small scale automakers. They make all these things in shallows in one of the states in Nigeria, southeast in Nigeria. And we met a group of young men that were doing a lot in auto. Just some will be cutting only iron, some will be doing bolts and nuts, some will be doing fan, some will be doing, and they were collaborating. I can manufacture some parts and give it to you, you complete it, and a lot of things that can be done in auto. So we cannot take it lightly, and it requires the effort of government and also the private sector, not only to invest, but also to ensure that we patronize locally made goods, and not only the finished goods, but also the parts, because we use parts even more. We spend a lot of money in importing parts. Again, we have tricycle and two-wheelers. That is motorcycle and tricycle. These are part of the mobility system. So, and all these are part of what we want Nigeria to start using locally made material to produce them. We visited a place where almost every part of, apart from the engine block, almost every part of tricycle and motorcycle is being produced in that particular factory. So again, we want to work with, we are encouraging Nigerians, patronize those who want produced here so that we'll be able to grow our own markets.
Mr. Joseph Osonipe there, the Made in Nigeria drive again is taking another turn. But you've heard from him. He is the Director General, National Automotive Design and Development Council. Thank you, and do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.